many Mahoning Valley Educator of the Year's Honors Dinners.
You all would agree that the number 837 is a pretty large number. I think we would all imagine if we did something 837 times, we'd probably be pretty good at it. But would you be perfect? What if you did it for 150,000 times? Would it be perfect? What if you did it 980,000 times? Would it be perfect yet? In this room tonight, the 33 people we're celebrating have 837 years of teaching experience. For 150,000 days and just under 1 million hours in the classroom. Far often when education's talked about, and we see it on the news, we see it on television, we see it on social media, it's usually about our shortcomings. It's about what's wrong with education. But I am here standing in front of you tonight to tell you that every one of you are showing everybody what is right with education. The 33 of you that are here tonight, the amount of conversations we've had, your humility, talking about your colleagues, somebody else deserves it. You would not be here if everybody around you did not believe you represent your school better than anybody. And as years go by, many people will be able to say that they're going to represent their school. Nobody other than you will be able to sit there and say, I represented my school first. This event would not have happened if it wasn't for the help of a lot of people. I just happen to be the one that gets to stand up here and talk. And before we begin, I want to thank those people. So Arlo Burkhart, Tracy Costello, John Kuzman, Marie Williams, everybody associated with the 3 ESCs, thank you for getting the word out. Thank you for taking the time to try to make sure that some of your schools were represented and that these teachers could have a moment here tonight. I want to thank the administrators who work so hard to make sure that their schools are represented, because there might not be a day where you really know how much this means to the people that are here. Speaking as a teacher, I know the fortunate times you can have by having good quality leadership and having someone that supports you. And for me personally, because I have a microphone and I get to do this, I get to thank my superintendent and Mr. Solomon. Thank you for the support you've given me for the past several months. A lot of people have said this is a great idea, it's a great thing to happen. But if it wasn't for your willingness to allow me to explore this, nobody would be here in this room tonight, so thank you very much. To Paul McFadden and the YSU Foundation, Paul has been such a supporter of any idea I've had in the short time that I've known him, whether it's scholastics or here. And I can truly say that this valley is blessed for having somebody like him in a leadership position to be there for people like us in education. To President Johnson, Dr. Howe, the members of Youngstown State that are here tonight, as an alumni of 2003, I've always taken pride in the fact that I graduated from Youngstown State and that I got the degree I got. And there's a reason why I stayed in the valley. It's because Youngstown gave me that pride to be able to want to give back, and that's why I'm still here. It means a lot for me to have you here, and it meant the world for you to reach out and want to voluntarily be a part of this event. To people like Mike and Brandy Hijari who put your programs together, so you have something to take back with you. Mike has been so positive and always made me believe that as this built, how special it was, and it wasn't until tonight that those ideas through them, proved to be right. The Chamber of Commerce. There's so many members that were a part of this evening. So to Jackie, thank you for the countless phone calls, efforts, and trying to make sure that we gave our local businesses an opportunity to support our teachers. Chuck, you have made this idea of a belief turn into a reality. The meetings, showing up here, helping today. If there was one person I would say was the key purpose of us being here today and made it happen, it would be you. And I know that if he was here today, he'd be proud of both of us. Kim, the communication's been fantastic. Every time I needed to pick me up, I just seem to get that email like, Josh, this is going great. Teachers are going to be excited. And that just kind of kept kept that motivation. It's a guy, when I reached out, me and Guy have known each other for quite a while. And when we presented the idea, he did not hesitate to give us several members of the chamber to help build this. And without that team, without that organization, like very many, we would not have the opportunity to thank, appreciate, and be here with all these educators this night. The last person I want to thank is not here tonight, but I want to thank my wife. The amount of nights with phone calls, emails, and just obsessively wanting this to happen, I really have always thought that behind every good man is a better woman. And for me personally, I know, no offense to the rest of the wives, but I believe that I could not have asked for a better person to support me. So without her support, I wouldn't have been able to do everything that I did to be here and make this happen for all of us. Tonight we are going to celebrate, and you are going to be honored. There are too many of you who have openly said, I don't know if I can do this. I don't do anything more than my colleagues. I just do my job. This person does so much more. This person I admire. Your colleagues wanted you to be here tonight, and you represent the best educators in the Valley. It is our task to educate our students, their whole being, so they can face the future. We may not be there when they face it, but it's our job to prepare them for it. Sir Ken Robinson said that, and I think of that every single day that I walk into a classroom. I won't be there when any of my students maybe write their first lesson plan, they have their first moment at the office, start their own business, build their own building. But I think every single one of us hopes that whatever we give our kids, that they are going to turn and take what we've given them in some aspect of their life, as an employee, as a parent, as anything, that we help make them better. There was also a day where every one of you, even if you're being honored here tonight or not, you might be a parent, you might be a friend, a colleague, every one of us sat in a classroom, and at some point in our life, somebody made us feel special. Somebody made us think that we could become something we never thought we could be. And then a lot of us decided, you know what, I want to give that to a kid. I want to turn around and I want to be the one that they show up for one day and say, you know what, because of Mr. Reese, I wanted to stand in front of a group of people and I want to tell them that they're important. Because of people like John Revezo, I could stand in front of people and think my thoughts mattered. And those are the people that impact us, and we all had that. But we are the luckiest people in the world because we get to do that every single day. Like, look at where we are right now. Think of what you do every day. You get to show up to work in front of a group of kids and try to get them to present the very best of themselves to you. And there's no greater gift that you could possibly have. I can tell you that the experiences that I've had, the best impact that you will have on somebody, and the best thing that you will leave is what it is, your heart, and it's going to be the things that in your life other people take with them when you're gone. We all think that, we want to have the biggest collections of this, and we want to have the biggest house and the biggest car. The dream house you have will one day be somebody else's. The car that you're driving that you've always wanted, you're going to trade it in for something else. But there's going to be a day when everything you've taught these kids is going to be a thing that passes on to somebody else and somebody else and somebody else. And that is the legacy that you'll be able to leave as an educator. I feel like in life we have two choices. You can either choose that you can be fearful of the things that worry you and be afraid of failure, or you can choose to do the things you love. Doing the things you love, the things you're passionate about, are always going to be the things that make a difference in a kid's life. Because that kid might not have anybody that cares, or they don't think. And then they walk into room 119 or 226 or 4B or wherever you are. And every day that kid wakes up at 6:30 in the morning, the first thing they're going to think of is, man, I cannot wait to get into Mrs. Kramer's room. I cannot wait until I can go and I can show up to the band room and I can do this and I can do that. You might be the only reason that kid wakes up and tries to become something of themselves. As teachers, we've all attempted lesson plans that haven't worked. We've failed. I know I've had lessons where halfway through it, I'm like, yeah, this ain't going to work. We need to scratch this tomorrow. Something else has to happen. But we go back and we try again. And that failure is what makes us great. So when we look at our kids every single day when we teach, It's not our job to make them afraid of the future. It's to prepare them. And when they see us care about them as people, that's why you are here, because those kids know you care and you treat them more than just somebody that walks in and out of a room for 50 minutes a day. Today, we stand at the Eastwood Event Center with the support of FAROS, the YSU Foundation, Youngstown State University, multiple businesses, and we get to acknowledge the 32 best educators that the Mahoning Valley could offer. No matter what happens tonight for the 32 of you, none of you are allowed to say you do not belong, that you don't deserve it, and you're no longer allowed to think that you go to school every day and nobody notices what you do. The thing that you're going to have to do tomorrow, you're going to have to go to school and take all that pride and all that greatness that everybody around you knows that you have, and you are going to have to find ways to be even better than you ever thought you were, just like we will with our kids. At this time, I'm going to have President Bill Johnson come up and speak. President Johnson's been a congressman, an entrepreneur, a U.S. military veteran for 26 years, and is currently, again, the president of YSU. And President Johnson, I can tell you, as a son of 2 military veterans, I greatly appreciate everything you've done for this country. Welcome to YSU, and thank you for coming tonight.
Well, good evening. The First Lady, my wife, Leanne, she's sitting over here to my left. Her grandmother was a teacher. So we have an affinity for teachers in our family. Josh told me I only had 45 minutes to speak this evening. So I'm going to have to really move fast to get through all of what I need to say. But look, to our guests, to our honorees, to supporters of education across the Mahoning Valley, welcome. We're glad that you're here. How many teachers do we have in the audience tonight? I'm just kidding. I know you're all teachers. But tonight we get to celebrate something truly extraordinary, the profound impact that educators make, those of you who shape not just the minds of our young people, of our students, but the very future of our communities across our region. This inaugural Mahoning Valley Educators of the Year Honors Dinner represents far more than just an evening of recognition. It's a testament to the foundational role education plays in building stronger, even more vibrant communities throughout the Mahoning Valley. Education is, without question, the bedrock upon which thriving communities are built. In classrooms across Trumbull, Mahoning, and Columbiana County, and regions beyond, in our public schools, parochial schools, within the Diocese of Youngstown and our career and technical centers, dedicated teachers like yourselves and the ones that we're going to honor tonight are molding future leaders, innovators, dreamers, and the skilled workforce that will drive our region forward for generations to come. Benjamin Franklin, one of our founders, one of our nation's most profound critical thinkers himself, once said, "An investment in education pays the best interest." But he didn't stop there. He went on to say, "Tell me, and I forget. Teach me, and I may remember. Involve me, and I learn." That's the nature of teaching. And let me tell you, I can relate to that. For a lot of reasons, none of them good, I went to 13 schools from the 1st through the 12th grade. That's a different story. Catch me at a bar sometime, I'll tell you the details about that. But I know this. Out of those 13 schools, I remember the names of nearly every single one of my teachers because they had such a profound impact on me. They recognized a troubled kid. They saw something in me that I did not see, and they invested in me in a way that turned a mule farming plowboy into a young man, later to serve in the Air Force, as Josh said. Let me recognize Josh McMillan here for a second. Josh facilitated tonight's celebration. For 20 years, Josh, who is a proud 2003 Youngstown State University graduate with a degree in art education, has inspired students through visual art education at Hubbard High School. Josh, thank you. You exemplify the exceptional educators that we honor here tonight. Your initiative in creating this event speaks volumes about your commitment to recognizing our wonderful teachers and educators across the Mahoning Valley. And Josh mentioned Youngstown State. Of course, I am so honored and humbled, as is the First Lady, to be president and First Lady at Youngstown State. I'll toot our horn just a little. We have a remarkable history with teacher education. Dean Charlie Howell is here. Charlie, wave over there. I'm sure everybody knows who you are, but there he is. He didn't stand like I asked him to do, but that's okay, Charlie. YSU has long been a cornerstone in preparing educators across the state and our country, equipping them with the skills they need, the knowledge, the grit, and passion to inspire our next generation. So if you're counting, take a close look at that honoree list that's on your brochure tonight. 24 of the 32 came from YSU. They're Penguins. We're proud of that. But all of you have had a tremendously positive impact on students throughout our entire region. And tonight we get to celebrate more than just teaching excellence. We're honoring you for empowering our next generation of leaders. Each one of you here has worked hard to mature young minds, foster their creativity, and instill a love of lifelong learning. And trust me, your impact extends far beyond the walls of your classrooms. You're fueling economic development here in the Valley. You're laying the building blocks of talent for our future workforce and telling the rest of the state and the country that the Mahoning Valley is a vibrant, forward-moving region where families want to live, work, and grow. Basically, and it's as simple as this: when we invest in teachers, we invest in our future. So thank you. Congratulations to our honorees this evening. Thank you all for your service, your passion for our students, and your commitment to educating the next generation. God bless you all. I'm happy to be with you. Thanks.
So one thing that will be a little bit different than probably a lot of banquets and things you may have been at, we've all been at graduations for school, and there's always the announcement. If we could please keep our applause to the end of the night so we could show. Teachers were a little different. So when we call our first teacher up here in a minute, you feel free to clap. If you were at her table, you feel free to, I don't know, I would say no Arsenio Hall fist pumps, but that'll just make me sound really old and the young kids won't know what I'm talking about. So, without further ado, we are now going to begin and start with what we are here for, and that's to honor these 32 wonderful people. And our first educator to be honored tonight is Carly Kramer from Austintown Local Schools. Jolene Bejo, mother of a former student, wrote about Carly. It is clear that you love your job, and you love and appreciate the first graders that come through your classroom. As a parent, that's all that we want in our teachers for our children, especially at such a young age and development age. Not only did you encourage and help Jack grow his brain and learn so much, but you also create an environment for him to show how important it is to be a good person, make new friends, and make good choices. One of Carly's philosophies in education is that it centers on the belief that meaningful relationships between teachers and students are the foundation for a positive, engaging, and impactful learning experience. So ladies and gentlemen, Carly Kramer. Our next educator from Boardman Local Schools, Evelyn Stanton. For Evelyn, her students have always been the reason that she does what she does. Seeing their excitement when discovering new things, new ideas, the determination when overcoming challenges, and their pride in the accomplishments is what drives her to be an educator. A former student, currently working for NASA. Without Evelyn's mentorship, guidance, and exceptional education that she provided, I'm confident I would not be where I am today. I credit her for so much of my success that I have achieved, and I know many of her past students share a similar story. Ladies and gentlemen, Evelyn Stanton. Next is Ryan Marino from Brookfield Local Schools. Ryan states his priority is to always do what's best for the kids. Every child learns differently, and it is my job to find the strategies that work for them by creating a safe, structured learning environment. I help students build confidence, develop skills, and reach their full potential. Administrators from Brookfield described Ryan's impact by his kindness and unwavering support for the students extend beyond academics. His classroom has always been a welcoming space where students feel safe, valued, supported, and many middle school students make special visits to him at the elementary school. It's just a testament to the lasting impact that he has on their lives. Ladies and gentlemen, Ryan Marino. Our next educator from Canfield Schools, Sabrina Easton. Sabrina believes students are motivated to put their voices and hearts to work, the first to speak up to empower others, and later to listen to what drives their interests. Molding lifelong learners, gaining fresh perspectives and producing confidence and kind human beings remains my daily driving force as an educator. Her superintendent says Sabrina exemplifies what it means to be a leader, mentor, and role model. Her positivity, professionalism, and dedication make a lasting impact, and we are incredibly fortunate to have her as a part of our team. Ladies and gentlemen, Sabrina Easton. So while she's doing her picture, I coach club soccer, and there's a girl on my daughter's team from Canfield. And the dad came up to me last Saturday, and he said, "Hey, you're doing the teacher thing, aren't you?" And I said, "Yeah, we've got that coming up." And that father and that daughter could not rave enough about her. And the best part is, that girl doesn't even have her as a teacher yet, and she's already that excited. You're welcome. Sabrina. Our next educator is Jen Policy from Cardinal Mooney. Jen states that I'm like a good mechanic. I guarantee my work. When the year is over, you will understand chemistry and biology and walk out of my classroom as a better student. I let them know that if they have trouble with a subject in college, I will help them, and I will always be there for them in the future. Her assistant principal states, with over 25 years of teaching experience, Jennifer does not see education as just a job. It is her calling. Her passion for teaching is evident in everything she does, and her dedication to her students is unparalleled. Ladies and gentlemen, Jen Policy. Next, from Champion Local Schools, Carolyn Brown. Carolyn believes that every child is capable of success and that the portrait looks different for each student. As an art teacher, Carolyn, I love that statement, by the way. As mentioned in Princess Rhyme, in one of my favorite novels, Norton Juster's Phantom Tollbooth, it's not just learning things that's important. It's learning what to do with what you learn, and learning why you learn things at all is all that matters. Susan Leinert, a colleague, once mentioned that if you were to look up the definition of a teacher, you would see a picture of Carolyn. She's a true inspiration, a bright light in in the lives of her students and families, as well as her colleagues at Champion and in the community. Ladies and gentlemen, Carolyn Brown. Next is Amanda Moore from Columbiana Schools. As an educator, she believes it is her calling to present, prepare, and encourage opportunity to know more. Every day is a new chance to grow and become better at something. Dr. Kim Sharshan, hope I said that right. Did I? Yes. States Amanda challenges students by using data, differentiating instruction, and making relevant connections. Across all subjects, she provides opportunities for students to apply real-world experiences to problem solving. Ladies and gentlemen, Amanda Moore. One of my biggest fears was getting everybody's name right. Next, we have East Palestine's Sandra Walker. Sandra's priority is to create a classroom environment where students feel comfortable, safe, and valued. I believe that meaningful learning can only take place when a student feels secure enough to express themselves, ask questions, and take risks without fear or judgment. Angela Sims, a colleague who Sandy mentioned, said, "When I officially became a teacher, I was fortunate enough to have her as a mentor. She guided me through every challenge, always there with advice, encouragement, and belief in my abilities. She never let me doubt myself and always reminded me why I chose this path." Ladies and gentlemen, Sandy Walker. Next, from the ESC of Eastern Ohio, is Gina Kingston. Gina keeps high expectations for all of her students, and she believes that they can all reach those expectations and become successful members of society. Shannon Robofsky, supervisor of special education at the ESC, said Gina's passion for teaching students with multiple disabilities goes beyond the classroom. She's a strong advocate for her students, ensuring that their needs are heard and addressed within the broader community. Gina encourages her colleagues to share this advocacy, fostering a culture of support and inclusion across the team. Ladies and gentlemen, Gina Kingston. I'm always looking to see who's looking ahead in the program and getting nervous that they're the next ones to come up. Our next educator from Girard City Schools is Jenna Martin. In her philosophy, Jenna talks about using her classroom to build mutual respect and compassion, to ensure an emotional safe place for students, to explore content and build their confidence. By embracing a growth mindset, I can help students overcome obstacles and discover their own capabilities. Girard Junior High principal talked about the contributions Jenna has made beyond the classroom by seeking ways to improve their school's environment and displaying her passion in everything she does. Ladies and gentlemen, Jenna Martin. I'm going to ask everybody to cheer loud for this one because I believe she gets to retire at the end of the year. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry, but I didn't write your letter, and that's the way the person made it sound. So from Howland Local Schools, Lorraine Yakovone. Lorraine's philosophy is one I think we can all agree with when she says, "I believe every child has the potential to be amazing, and it's my goal to help them discover just how wonderful they are. I strive to create a classroom environment where my students feel safe, confident, and excited about learning. Rachel Tikak tells how Lori's classroom is always bright and fun, and her rapport with her students is amazing to watch. She respects them. They reciprocate that respect, and she connects with them very easily. She's the definition of grace. Ladies and gentlemen, Lorraine Yakovone. This one's nice for me because this is a colleague and someone I genuinely love and respect. And our next colleague for me and our next educator is Kelly Comlack from Hubbard Schools. Kelly's philosophy always strived to create a positive learning environment where students feel supported and respected, not only by myself, but also by their fellow classmates. Her assistant principal, former student, and former coach state that Kelly represents Hubbard Schools with an unparalleled humility, loyalty, honor, and integrity. Her character speaks volumes, and her actions reflect a deep and abiding commitment to the betterment of our school community. She's not only an exceptional educator and leader, but she's also a role model who inspires those around her to strive for excellence. Ladies and gentlemen, Kelly Comlack. This next teacher couldn't be here today. I was fortunate enough to be able to go yesterday, meet her. They had a staff meeting, had her mother, her father, husband, son. She did not know we were coming, and we surprised her. Again, I'd never met her, but when she saw her father get off the elevator with his cane, she immediately broke down. And that teacher, and again, I do want to recognize her, is Kelly Williams from Jackson Milton. Kelly believes a teacher's philosophy is to serve as a foundation for their approach to learning and teaching. Her principal, Holly Welsh, tells how Kelly is not one you will ever meet that has better qualities. She is set apart from the rest. She is a person of exemplary character who is enthusiastic and advocates for all children and a believer that all children can and will learn. Our next educator from Warren JFK is Brooke DiGiulio. Brooke believes students become great with the encouragement of teachers, administrators, staff, and a positive school environment, and it starts with a smile and a positive outlook on each day. Education is something to be treasured. Principal Jacqueline Venzio says, Brooke comes to school every day ready to teach with the utmost positivity and dedication. She inspires students to be resourceful learners and to give their best. Her patience and love for her students is unparalleled. Ladies and gentlemen, Brooke DiGiulio. Next, from the Bray Local Schools, Regina Helmick. Regina says teaching is an honor. This philosophy resonates in all that I do as a high school English teacher. Honor my students with engaging lessons, with research-based strategies, and with expectations to ensure learning. Honor my students with compassion, with grace, and with humanity to ensure respect. This letter that was sent in was one of several parts of hers. And when I read it initially, I knew that I was going to read this whole thing because I thought this was something that we actually all would aspire to hear from one of our kids. So for Ella Bailey, the class of 2020, you gave me everything I wanted in a teacher. You provided comfort yet boundaries. You've shown me maximum strength yet kindness. You've shown me that anyone can do anything they put their mind to. You taught me it is the best thing to be the bigger person in tough situations and taught me how to grow. Thank you for giving me hope and dreams. You for being honest and pushing me to the best version of myself that I could possibly be. Ladies and gentlemen, Regina Helmick. Next from Lakeview Schools, Jennifer McAllister. Jennifer believes that each child is unique and learns in their own way. My goal is to create a supportive, nurturing, exciting, and safe classroom where students are valued, accepted, loved, and empowered to learn. She wants her students to see that learning is fun, so that they will develop a love for learning that will last a lifetime. Her letter of appreciation talks about her value as a member of the Lakeview staff, always being selfless, compassionate, flexible, and willing to help endlessly. She helped instill confidence in myself as a teacher by allowing me to confide in her and creating a safe place to learn and to make mistakes so I can continue to grow. Ladies and gentlemen, Jennifer McAllister. Next from Latonia Schools, Randall Roddick. Randy believes that each student takes my class, and they should arrive each day knowing that they are valued and should expect to leave with the knowledge that they will benefit in the future endeavors. I encourage each of them to ask why and to make choices with not only themselves in mind, but to consider the effect that those choices may have on others around them. Marcia Duco says Randy's work isn't just within the walls of the school. Mr. Roddick works with the community in many ventures, such as the annual parades and special events that take place during the year. Most recently, the band performed at the local VFW for local veterans on Veterans Day, as well as performing a trip or planning a trip to Disney every 4 years because some students, this may be the only opportunity they have to explore life away from home. Ladies and gentlemen, Randy Roddick. Next from Lordstown Schools, Mindy Moyers. Mindy wants her students to know that they are important and valued in the classroom. I'm honored to work with younger students because I get to help establish their educational foundation that will guide them through their remaining school years. Her principal, Rich Zigarovich, thinks Mindy is always stepping up when needed, whether it's taking on new students, covering in classes, or helping with duties. You are one of the reasons why our building culture is so good. Thank you for all you do for the kids at Lordstown. Ladies and gentlemen, Mindy Moyers. From MCCTC, Donna Greer. Donna believes every student that enters her room is a whole person, complete with their intellect and their feelings, and each one is unique. Sometimes, for whatever reason, they don't realize their full potential or ability. That's what makes teaching so wonderful and challenging. The director of MCCTC, Mara Banfield, tells us how Donna's contributions extend broader into the community, where she has demonstrated a profound sense of compassion and service, providing housing and financial support to a homeless student, mentoring them through their transition to independence, volunteering at the Rescue Mission, Beatitude House, offering tutoring to support homeless and abused individuals. Ladies and gentlemen, Donna Greer. Donna, I have to say, when I read that letter initially, I held back tears, and if you don't mind me saying, there is a special place in heaven for people like you. Our next educator this evening is Ethan Gross from Newton Falls. Ethan's teaching is informed by the idea that students want and need to be empowered to make their own choices, but they might not know what the best choices are. Until they are recognized, those choices and those consequences and goals are formalized and structured by others. Superintendent of Newton Falls describes Ethan as more than an outstanding educator, but as a mentor, coach, leader, and role model. His tireless work ethic, passion for education, and commitment to student growth make him the most deserving of tonight's acknowledgement. Ladies and gentlemen, Ethan Gross. Representing the Niles McKinley Red Dragons is Gabe Riegel. Gabe believes education is more than just delivering lesson plans. It's about fostering an environment where students feel valued, respected, empowered, and grow. Her building administrators point to her remarkable rapport with her students, parents, and fellow educators. She creates a safe and encouraging and learning environment where students learn and engage to ask questions, take risks, and embrace challenges. Her patience and ability to adapt lessons to meet the individual students need highlighted for her resourcefulness as an educator. Ladies and gentlemen, Gabe Riegel. Next, from Poland Local Schools, Rick D'Annunzio. Rick believes education is a performing art. The successful teacher of today must harness a performative niche that wins over students' attention and effort. In his letter of appreciation, his principal, Kevin Snyder, speaks personally of his passion and dedication to education, to his teaching, since he was one of his son's favorite teachers during his time at Poland Seminary, and recently expressed how his class and teaching style prepared him for his current college courses. Ladies and gentlemen, Rick D'Annunzio. Next is from Sebring Local Schools, Leanne Laurie. Leanne believes children learn by doing and seeing, and any curriculum objective that can be taught by allowing the students to explore with hands-on activities or by allowing them to experience the subject matter in a real-life matter is beneficial to their comprehensive process. Nicole Hanley describes Leanne's ability to narrow down where each child is struggling, meet them where they are, and work with them time after time while they grow at an individual pace. Students remember Mrs. Laurie with one of the most influential teachers throughout their education because of her compassion and her commitment to them. Ladies and gentlemen, Leanne Laurie. Next, from Springfield Local, Sherry Loddet. Sherry approaches teaching as a journey and a story that many students are taught throughout the year. I map out the curriculum like chapters in a book, laying it out page by page. I hope that every student walks away from my classroom with a recognition that lifelong learning is a pursuit worthy of their time, and a belief that they and the world will be a better place for it. Zach Ebert writes, "No other teacher and their classes have had a bigger impact on my life as a student. You taught me to love and enjoy math, which helped me start my journey towards being an engineer. Thank you for all that you have done and taught me, as it has changed me so much." Ladies and gentlemen, Sherry Loddet. From South Range Schools, Diane Krumpak. Diane's students embrace routine, consistency, fairness, and a joy for learning in her teaching style. She expects her students to be positive classmates, learning to cooperate with one another and helping one another if the need arises, and being respectful of each other. Stephen Rohan considers Diane has become a hero to so many. The way she carries herself when it is obvious she is not feeling well, to the way she is dedicated to the teaching profession, is something we all want to emulate. She is a leader that leads by example and speaks softly as she leads our staff. Ladies and gentlemen, Diane Krumpak. Good? We got 6? 8. Next, from Strother City Schools, Irene Rivera. Irene believes strategies cannot be successful without forming connections with my students and families. I try to learn as much as I can about my students through open parent communication, daily conversations, even attending birthday parties and sporting events when invited, breakfast club, and having lunch with my students. Jenna Agnon says, not only does Irene provide a strong academic foundation, ensuring that her students are learning and growing intellectually, but she goes above and beyond to nurture their character as well. She teaches them the importance of kindness, respect, perseverance, and creating a safe space where they can develop both academically and emotionally. Ladies and gentlemen, Irene Rivera. Where's she at? Next, from TCTC and my new podcast buddy, is Megan Mock. Megan's mission and privilege is to bring to light through language and literacy the skills and stories living within each student that she encounters. Most importantly, she believes in community. She attributes her effectiveness as a teacher to being a part of an incredible team of student advocates at TCTC. TCTC Director Paula Bacco refers to Megan's tireless commitment to literacy, her ability to bring transformative programs to life, and her dedication to students and staff, the success that makes her an irreplaceable part of the TCTC community. She's not only an exceptional leader, but also a visionary leader whose efforts will continue to benefit students for years to come. Ladies and gentlemen, Megan Mock. Next, from United Local Schools, Amy White. Amy has always strived to instill two key principles in her students: to do their best and to be kind to everybody. This sentiment has been a daily mantra for her students. She believes that when they build genuine leadership and relationships, they will show that they care. We create an environment where they can thrive regardless of the curriculum. Superintendent of United Schools, Lance Hosteller, calls Amy a true visionary. Amy played an instrumental role in leading the district-wide initiative and fostering a culture of creativity and collaboration. Amy has demonstrated unwavering dedication to inspiring both the students and the educators to think beyond traditional methods. Ladies and gentlemen, Amy White. Next, from Ursuline High School, Stacy Rapp. Stacy's philosophy of education is centered on setting high standards for student achievement while ensuring that students have the tools necessary to reach those standards. Students are often capable of achieving far more than they realize. Among her many accomplishments is her creation of the Meracy Med program and its corresponding biomedical investigations course. Recognizing that many of our students were interested in this career in medicine, she created this program to help our students connect with the medical profession and explore careers within medicine. She has coordinated with local doctors, nurses, physical therapists, and other medical professionals to come to our school and speak to our students. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, Stacy Rapp. Next, from West Branch, Abby Millard. Ultimately, Abby's goal is to instill a love of learning that goes beyond the classroom, helping students develop the curiosity and resilience needed to become lifelong learners. Angela Theus, Director of Instructional Programs. Our district is incredibly grateful for Ms. Millard and the lasting impact that she has on our students, family, and community. Her unwavering commitment to education and her ability to make a difference in the lives of so many does not go unnoticed. We are proud to have her as a part of our district and deeply appreciate her hard work and dedication. Ladies and gentlemen, Abby Millard. Next, from Wethersfield Schools, Megan Gazzoni. Her philosophy of education is that all children have the ability to grow and succeed when they are given an environment that meets their needs and challenges them to be better today than they were yesterday. To create an environment where the students can fail and learn from those mistakes, because we are all a work in progress. Seaborn Elementary Principal T.J. Kanowski describes Megan's traits as an educator. The quality of her teaching, the characteristics and character that come to mind is hardworking, kind, caring, selflessness, and a commitment to go above and beyond for the students in the school district should be top of her list. Ladies and gentlemen, Megan Gazzoni. You okay? Next, Western Reserves, Laura Baird. Laura believes one of the most remarkable attributes of learning and teaching is resiliency. Each day starts anew, and we get a fresh start, a new opportunity to share our knowledge, ask our questions, and reshape our lives. Even on our worst day, we've learned that there is hope for tomorrow. Superintendent Dallas Saunders experienced Mrs. Baird's teaching from the perspective of a parent. As my own child had the opportunity to be in her classroom for 3 years, this dual perspective, as both a supervisor and a parent, has reinforced my admiration for her ability, and has inspired the challenge and support that her students have in ways that extend far beyond their academic achievements. Her passion for education and her genuine love for her students are evident in all she does. Ladies and gentlemen, Laura Baird. Our final educator of the night is Melissa Smith from Youngstown Community School. Melissa firmly believes that all students can learn and want to learn. Students learn best when they feel welcomed, comfortable, and safe. All students can learn when they are accepted for who they are and where they are in the educational journey. Naomi Reyes, an amazing parent of one of her first graders, wrote her and said that I am so happy that my baby has an amazing teacher. Thank you again for what you do. I don't know how much credit you guys as teachers receive, but on behalf of the parents, I want you to know that you are a blessing, you are appreciated, and the amazing job that you're doing with these kids. I'm so happy to have you in this chapter of my daughter's life. She loves you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, Megan Smith. So now we are going to get to our 5 award winners of the night. To give you a little perspective and understanding of how this was done, we took everybody's philosophy, we took everybody's letter. We blacked out every name on every letter, every school on every letter. And we made this as transparent as humanly possible. So the only thing these people that were our judges and panelists knew is that you were a person, that you were a teacher, and they maybe saw what you taught. Our panel included people from the Mahoning and Trumbull County ESCs, Dr. Charles Howe from the B College of Education at YSU, former regional president of the Ohio Arts Education Association, local business owners, and we allowed them to look at these letters that were numbered, and the only thing they told me was a number. So those people, they have no idea who won. There's me, a guy in Kansas that we ordered the stuff from, and like 4 other people. That's it. So the first award we're going to give tonight is the Young Educator of the Year. This award is something, when you look at it, what's the difference between being a young educator and someone that's had multiple years in? As a young educator, you are probably in the best situation possible because you have the most amount of time to grow. You have the most amount of time to look at the people around you, see what they've done, learn from them, and impact it, and become a better teacher than everybody around you. if you take the opportunities that you have, and a lot of times, the people that have been there twice as long as you, those are the best people you want to talk to. One of the best compliments I got as a young teacher is I wanted to learn from people. So I remember going into the lunchroom with Bill Forrester, Tony Hyderis, Julianne Carson, and sitting there eating lunch. And I would just listen to the things that they would say. And I remember one day our former band director looked at me, and just in the middle of a conversation while I had a mouthful of who knows what I was even eating 20 years ago. And he just went, yeah, they're not all like Josh. And I'm like, what? And Bill looked at me and he goes, no, a lot of young teachers don't want to listen to people like us that have been doing it for a long time. When I took over teaching, the first thing that the man I took over for said, it'll be 5 years before you have any idea what you're doing. And I laughed because he's wrong, because it's 20 years and I feel like I still have no idea what I'm doing. But ultimately, that's the best part about education, because when those kids are learning, so are we. So if you continue to learn as a young educator from the first, second, fifth year, and I'm sure if we asked a lot of teachers here that have 30, 35, even 40 years, there's days you go and you still feel like you're learning how to do the job. And that's what makes it so beautiful. So the first ever Mahoning Valley Young Educator of the Year is Ethan Gross from Newton Falls. Congratulations. Congratulations. Our next award, the Golden Educator. Now, some people might go, I don't really want people to know how long I've been doing this. But I can tell you, as somebody that's 20 years in, or somebody like Ethan that is, much younger than I am, we look for you golden educators, and we're so jealous because you're so close to retirement. But the other thing that people have to know is don't ever be afraid to tell people what you know and what you've learned. I know this year, for example, there are 2 colleagues of mine that are going to be retiring, and I'm going to miss them greatly because I've learned so much from them. I learned so much about how to change really the course of my career and how I handle situations, how I talk to people, how I talk to parents, how I handle things. And you, as experienced educators, you have all that knowledge. And I can say for anybody that's, again, I'm 20 years in, so anybody that's got more years, you should be looking to those people. You should be looking at someone as a younger educator and say, hey, how would you do this? And you might not agree with it, but you've got to remember, they've got so much more time and experience that they could tell you things that would help you deal with everything every day. So use them, because you and your experience as a golden educator, you are the key to what's going to help this generation of teachers grow. What you leave to them, like we talked about with our students, is what's going to affect the next group and how that affects the next group of kids. And you are going to have that legacy that 20 years from now, when I walk into a room and I say, I remember when Chad Reese did this. I remember when Phyllis Bako did this. My kids will never know who those people are, but the things that I've learned from them will carry over, and it'll carry over forever. So this year, the first, again, ever winner of the Mahoning Valley Golden Educator Award is Leanne Laurie. Congratulations. You're fine, you're fine. So the next 2 awards, we're trying to figure out how do we split, an elementary, a middle, and the thought was, well, there's got to be a middle point. So we decided that we would go with an early educator that was grades K through 6, and then secondary would be 7 through 12. And when we gave these letters out, this is where I did mess up. There was a letter that I did not block out the school, because after 33 letters and looking at names and this and this and this and this and this, I may have missed one. And the judges were like, hey, we know where this person's from. So I go, okay, I've got a friend in Cleveland that doesn't know any of us. And I got a hold of her and I said, listen, if I send you these, can you look through them? And she's like, absolutely. She looked through them. An hour later, she's like, it's number 19. And I was like, okay. Why number 19? And she goes, because I haven't read a letter about somebody that did more for other people in her community than this person. And that was the thing that set her apart. And it was the same thing that the first group said. So this year, the first ever Early Educator of the Year will go to congratulations. All right, our Secondary Educator of the Year. Again, we as secondary teachers, we're going to be on the opposite end if you're a kindergarten teacher. First of all, if you're an elementary teacher, God bless you. You deserve a raise. Because I've watched some little kids in the morning for an hour during my planning, and I was happy to do it. But that was only 5 of them for 45 minutes. I can't imagine 7 hours of sneezing and yelling and falling and running and coloring on the wall, dropping stuff. I'm sure these are all giving you PTSD from a day you don't want to think about for tomorrow. But for us on the secondary side, we think of ourselves as we might be the last teacher that this person has until they go off into the real world. And we think of that impact, at least I do. And I think if I have a senior, as an art teacher, I tell my kids all the time, I don't expect any of you to be the next Van Gogh. I don't expect any of you to be the next great graphic designer. But I need you to be the best person you can be, because you're going to go into the world in now 2 months, and you're going to have to make decisions, and you're going to have to make decisions what's best for you, and you're going to have to do things for what's best for the people around you. And for me, I think of secondary education, it is about the subject, but we are the closest thing to sending these people off into the real world. And that's a huge responsibility for us. So without further ado, the first ever Secondary Educator of the Year is so when we talk about preparing people to go off into the world, and we were going through again, they were going through the letters, and you know what I would ask? I'd say, wow, that's okay, so why that one? The medical program you've created. You cannot get a better example of preparing kids for something when they go off into the world. So Stacy, congratulations, that's incredible. All right. So this one's going to be a lot different. There's probably not too many times where there's an awards ceremony and the host or the person talking says, I don't think I should do this. And I don't. I don't think I should give this to you. I think this needs to come from the people that see you the most. I don't get to sit in your building. I don't see the impact you have on your colleagues. I don't get to see what you do for your kids. I'm not from the same community as most of you, because I do live in Niles and I teach in Hubbard. But the people around you, and I tell my kids this a lot, whether it's coaching or teaching, we think so much stuff has to go on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever other things that the kids have that we don't know about because we're too old to care. But not everything has to be a moment that you share with the world. Sometimes the best moments you have are shared between you and just someone that really genuinely cares. When a kid comes up to you in class and gives you a letter because they're having a bad day, and when you walk away, there's a Post-it note where they sat, and your planning period's next, and you look at it and you're like, this is garbage. And it's a note that says, thanks for listening today. I didn't think anyone cared. Facebook doesn't have to see that. Instagram doesn't have to see that. You're not going to run down the hallways waving it in the air, screaming for your colleagues to come. That's a thing for you. And those moments, they're precious. And they're precious because we get to have them for ourselves without sharing them with everybody. So I'm not going to give this to whoever you are. I mean, I know who you are. But I thought about it, and I thought the person that gives it to you should be the people that are around you the most. So at this time, rather than me saying, come up here, whoever you are, I would like to ask the administrator at the table that has the first ever Mahoning Valley Educator of the Year to stand up and congratulate your teacher. Ladies and gentlemen, Abby Millard from West Branch Local Schools. So before I hand this over to Guy Keviello from the Chamber, I want everybody to think of a couple of small things. One is, do not leave tonight and stop celebrating the people you work with. This isn't something that just lasted tonight. This isn't something you should just go to work, go to school tomorrow, and it's like it never happened. I want you to think of how proud you are of the people that are around you, the people that you work with. I want you to think of how you feel and they feel, and I want you to think about your kids and reaching out to their teacher every once in a while. I want you to think about how it feels to finally have something where we can celebrate this profession, which is the basis for everything that our children do and that we have done in our lives. Because regardless of what subject we liked, what teacher we liked, if we wanted to wake up in the morning and go, how much homework we had, we all had a foundation and were educated to learn how to be different thinkers and how we could actually find ways that we could use our skills to impact the world. It doesn't stop tonight. It's not going to stop tomorrow. It's not even going to stop when you retire. Because when you retire, you're going to have neighborhood children, grandchildren. You're going to be around people. You might be around somebody and think to yourself, well, I'm not a teacher anymore. There might be a next door neighbor that's a much younger guy than you, and maybe he needs some parent advice from a good father, a mother. We're always teaching. And tonight, not only are we honoring teachers, but we have students here from Hubbard, we have students here from TCTC, and even when we have the opportunity to honor each other, we're still using moments like this as a time to teach. I want to say thank you for everybody and everything you've done throughout this process. And again, everyone's been so kind, but it took way more than one man. It took more than one person. This took handfuls of people who, again, they're not going to stand up and walk up here and go, I did this for 25% and this and this. This would have never happened without that large collection of people I mentioned earlier, and even people beyond. And the only selfish thing I'm going to ask you to do is, to every winner, I want you to stand, and I'd like everybody to give them one round of applause and say thank you. At this time, I would like to call the president of the Regional Chamber, Guy Keviello, for closing remarks.
Josh, a lot different seeing you here than on the soccer field. Well done. We know at the Chamber, we do over 100 events a year, how hard it is to establish a new event. Even with our expert events planning team, our marketing team that has vast knowledge and expertise. We've been blown away by Josh McMillan's clear vision for tonight, his persistence, and all the tasks that he completed in just a few months. He spent uncounted hours on weekends, in the evenings, and early hours before school, driving himself, driving us to put this all together. He utilized all sorts of student resources for things like videography and decor and teachers for cookies to make tonight financially feasible. He reached out to media, earned lots of great coverage, and just kept going. So Josh, there are a lot of teachers here tonight. Because of your selfless passion, I can't think of a better representative for your livelihood, Josh. Except maybe Abby Millard. Wow. If you haven't yet, take the program home. Read the letter from Angeline Tice, the West Branch Director of Instructional Programs. Read about Miss Millard's inspiration from George Evans, and that's someone near and dear to my heart because I was a YSU journalism instructor for 15 years. Take that home and learn about Miss Millard. Thank you for all that you do. And all the winners and all the finalists that we learned about today. We should all feel good about our future being in your hands. And our future really is in your hands. The number one factor in growing a community's economy is the availability of talent. As if you didn't have enough responsibility for what happens inside the classroom walls, the prosperity of our entire region depends on you. After witnessing tonight's celebration, thank you, Josh, the Regional Chamber is more motivated to help. And one way that will help is by taking Josh McMillan's vision for tonight and helping Mr. McMillan turn it into an annual event. So that means that right now, instead of me saying good night, I'll close by saying see you next year. Thank you.
That's it. So the only thing we're going to ask is all of the teachers that are here tonight, if you could, towards this back wall where the gray is, we would love to get one group picture of all of us because this will be the only time in our lives we're all together. So again, thank you.